broken the record for the fastest turnaround in organizing a satsang. I think the members need a big round of applause. Let me tell you a little bit about what we are doing here. Jnana Mission has taken the Sankalpa resolution to do 108 nights of Bhagavad Gita satsang at 108 different mandirs across Guyana. And so we've been all the way from Crabbe Creek in Quarantine, coming down, and we've gone all the way to Pomeroon and Essequibo. And now we're here doing the last few nights in West Coast and East Bank, Essequibo. Tonight is night 100. When we started, 100 seemed like it would never come. And now it feels like the first night was just yesterday. So we're almost coming to the end of this 108 night yajna, and also almost at the end of this Bhagavad Gita. So I'll tell you where we are now. We are in chapter 18. There are 18 chapters in Bhagavad Gita, and we're in the last chapter because we're almost at the end. Before I tell you what's going on, let me ask you all a question. Is everyone here familiar with the story of the three little pigs? Y'all heard that story growing up? Once upon a time, there were three little pigs, and their mommy sent them to go and make their own houses and live their own lives. And the first little pig went and built his house with straw. And the second little pig went and built his house with sticks. And the third little pig built his house with bricks. And then you all know what happened after that. The wolf came and he said, I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down. So he huffed and he puffed, and the house of straw fell, and that little pig ran to his brother who had the house of sticks, and he hid with him. And then the wolf went there too, and he huffed and he puffed and he blew that one down. Then they went to brother number 3, and when they went in there, well, the wolf came and he huffed and he puffed and he huffed and he puffed, but he could not blow the house down. Is that correct? Correct remembering of the story? And then he ended up climbing in the chimney and he got boiled in the pot, and then all of that happened. Okay. So the material that the pigs used is what determined the consequence that they faced. Correct? Do you know, it is not just because they chose that material. That material was chosen because of who they were. That first pig was lazy. He said, let me quickly build this thing so I can play. The next pig was rash. He saw sticks and he quickly took them and he built his house too. Then they watched their brother build his house of bricks. And they were playing and thinking, what a silly thing he's doing. Why is he wasting so much time? Look how much fun we are having. But you know, we are actually very similar. Our situation is very similar to that of the three little pigs. What? You're calling me a pig? No. I'm not calling you a pig. I'm telling you the similarity in the story. Right? We are also building a house. Every single person in this universe, no matter how old they are, is building a house. Not a house, on a land that the government is giving. A house of happiness. Every single person, no matter who they are, no matter where they are, they're building what is called a house of happiness. True or false? Everybody's looking for happiness. Everybody is always looking for happiness. So we're all trying to build this house of happiness. Well, in the exact same way as the materials made the difference in the story, the material that we use to build our house of happiness will also determine the consequence that comes when the wolf called samsara, called life, called change, comes to our doorstep. And when real life faces us, that is when we really check, this house of happiness that we have built, how strongly have we built it? Have we built it in a way that it will crumble like a sandcastle? Or it will fall apart like a house of cards? Or it will stand with difficulty sometimes and with great strength sometimes. What kind of happiness have I built for myself? The kind that is flimsy, that will get destroyed with any little thing? Or the kind that is unshakable, where no matter what happens, my peace remains unbroken? That is the question. But the choice of the material that we use to build this house of happiness will depend on the vision that we have. It will depend on the kind of actions that we do. It will depend on the attitude with which we do our actions. It will depend on how much thought and intelligence we put into it. And it will depend on how much we hold on to the ideals that we have as well. And this is exactly the topic that is going on right now in chapter 18 of Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 18 happens to be a summary of chapter 2 to chapter 17. In chapter 1, actually what happened is Arjuna was just complaining to Bhagavan Sri Krishna about how he cannot fight this battle and he cannot do his duty. And so Bhagavan Sri Krishna was just listening. But in chapter 2, Bhagavan Sri Krishna started to teach. And so the whole teaching that he gave Arjuna from chapter 2 to chapter 17 is summarized in chapter 18. But it is summarized in a most practical way in this chapter, where the same knowledge that was given there is now given in the form of self-management techniques. Things we can actually do in our life and things we can actually measure in our life to see the progress that we're making in applying the knowledge that we would have learned over all the years of our life. So, all of these things Bhagavan has talked about so far in this chapter. He's talked about the vision that we have. He's talked about our attitude. He's talked about our action. He's talked about our intelligence, our thoughtfulness, and he has talked about the fortitude with which we follow whatever we are going to do. The question comes, well, what is the bottom line of doing everything that we are doing in our life? Like I have mentioned, the bottom line of every single thing that we do is happiness. Every single thing that every single person does is for happiness only. In Sanskrit, it is called sukha prapti, for the acquisition of happiness, and dukkha nivritti, for removal of sorrow. And when a child cries, it is because they're looking for happiness in some other way or another. If I cry, my mom will know I'm hungry or I'm in pain, and that will be removed. When a teenager throws their bag down and goes and doesn't do their homework and sits in front of the TV, it is for happiness also, isn't it? But they're not doing that to get sorrow. Or when an adult goes and overeats, at that time, what happens after is a different story, but at that time, are they doing it to get sorrow? Let me eat an extra cassava ball for sorrow. Nobody does anything that they do in their life for sorrow. Everyone does every single thing for happiness. You just measure. Every single thing that we do in our life is because we're looking for happiness. Now we would have looked for so long. So long means for lifetimes we would have looked for happiness. Have you found it? Have you found happiness? Now if you say yes, that means you shouldn't be looking anymore. Are you still looking? If you found it, you shouldn't be looking. And if you haven't found it, then does it mean it doesn't exist? I mean, how is it that billions of people have been looking for billions of years and they haven't found happiness? Well, that sounds like, you know those movies they make about lost treasure? You don't even know if it is real. Well, no. I know happiness is real for sure. Because I found it sometimes. Sometimes it is there. I know what happiness is. Everyone knows what happiness is. But the problem is, we get happiness, but it is not the happiness we really want. What is the happiness we really want? The happiness we really want is a happiness that will never go away, meaning a happiness that will last forever. And a happiness that is not dependent on anything, meaning no matter what happens, I want to remain happy. Really speaking, this is the happiness that we are looking for. Right? Now, Bhagavan Shri Krishna, in this section of verses that we're going to see, is going to make us think a little bit about happiness. There are different, first of all, what is happiness? Then, what are the different types of happiness? And what is the implication of knowing all of those types of happiness for our life? So let us see what Bhagavan Shri Krishna has to say. This is now chapter 18, verse number 36. That is now we start. Trividham Shinu Me. O Bharatarshava, O Arjuna, now listen to the three types of happiness from me. Okay? First of all, there are three types of happiness. You know, actually, whether someone, there are different things in life. We have choices for different things, and we don't have choices for certain things. For example, if you are thirsty, is there a choice of whether you're going to drink something or not? If you are thirsty, well, you're going to drink something. What you will drink, there is a choice about that. Okay? But that you will drink, there's no choice. So in our life also, that we will look for happiness, there is no choice. But which type of happiness? There are three types. Three types of happiness Bhagavan is going to tell us. And he is saying, listen to me tell you about these three types of happiness. You know, the implication about that is that, really speaking, Bhagavad Gita is not going to teach us math and English and science and things that you're going to go and learn in school. You don't go to Bhagavad Gita to learn. You don't go and learn how to make 7 curry from Bhagavan Sri Krishna. I mean, you could teach it. We don't go to Bhagavad Gita to learn that. The Shastras are meant to teach us things that we don't learn in the world. Specifically, about ourselves and about dharma and about happiness. Happiness is something that the world cannot teach us about. It is the scriptures that really guide us on how to find the happiness that we are looking for. So we turn to Bhagavan Sri Krishna to tell us how to find happiness really. Because, we're studying, Bhagavad Gita teaches us Vedanta. And a translation of Vedanta would be the science of happiness. So the science of happiness is what we're going to really be doing, studying here directly. He says something very interesting about happiness that many people haven't thought about. He says, Abhyasat ramate yatra. Happiness is there where a person revels because of practice. It is by practice that someone develops the capacity to find joy in something. Whether we've practiced it in this life or in a previous life. For example, I don't know if you can recall the first time you ate 7 curry. If you can't recall it, you can think about young children. How many young children eat 7 curry and like it right away? Well, you see them, if you are serving in the line, you'll see them bring their leaf and they'll put it forward when they reach the rice. Then they'll put it forward for the chana. Then they'll pull it back when they're passing the bhaji. Then maybe they'll put it forward for pumpkin. It's not automatic that they start to like 7 curry right away. But if you see the adults, most adults happily will go and keep their leaf and enjoy 7 curry, correct or wrong. Right? So, the happiness that is gotten from 7 curry has been developed by the practice of eating it over and over again. Right? Then, or for example, the first time a child goes to school, they like it. They kick and cry and hold their parents and blackmail them to not drop them to school and all kinds of things they do. Because they don't like the first time that they do it. But fast forward a few weeks, they start to love it. I mean, it takes a lot for them to admit to their parents that they actually love it. So I spent some time in a toddler classroom and I would see children come in crying big tears when their parents drop them. And as soon as that parent has walked out the door, all tears done, they've gone and they're playing again. And as soon as the parent comes back, they're like, oh, let me start to cry. And then they start to cry again. They don't want to tell their parents I'm actually enjoying. Now some teenagers will be like, no. I have gone to school for 10, 12 years and I still don't like it, so this doesn't work, Bhagavan. Hello. You go back, oh my God, 5 years. To 2020, when children were not allowed to go to school. They were not allowed to go to school. The first day, yes, we don't have to go to school. But by week 3, week 4, they were dying to go back to school. They were saying, I wish I could go back to school. When they had the option of staying home for online school or going back in, all of them wanted to go. Why? Because of this. Eventually, what you do over and over again, you develop a capacity to find happiness in that thing. Even in school, which we think we don't like, we find joy in it really sweetly. Or you think somebody who has drunk alcohol for the first time, they like the taste of that thing? It tastes like grape, what is it? Grape Busta? One man used to drink every day. And his wife got fed up. And she said, you know what, you're always drinking, stop this drinking. And he said, look, I can't stop. Better you start and join me. So he convinced her to try his drink. So she hesitatingly took a sip. And she said, yuck! This you're drinking? He said, yes, see how much I'm suffering? Don't tell, you think I'm enjoying all these years? happiness is something that we get by repetition of doing something. By habit, the capacity to get joy from something is developed. That means, really speaking, we can get joy from anything. And that also means that we can train our mind to find joy where we want our mind to find the joy. That means that our mind has a capacity to learn ways in which it can get happiness. Everyone would have experienced this. I mean, I don't know nowadays if people listen to radio so much, but back in the day, when everyone would play the radio, well, a song would play on the radio, and you would be like, I don't like this song. But that song will play over and over and over again. And eventually you catch yourself singing that song in your head, and you're like, why am I singing this song? I don't like the song. but there's a joy in singing a song after you've heard it over and over and over again. Right? Happiness is something that we develop by repetition of some habit. Then Bhagavan says, did you ever think of happiness like that? Until I heard this, I hadn't. Now Bhagavan says, Dukhantam cha nigacchati. Happiness is also, what happiness is where you go to a state where there is no sorrow. Means the sorrow that was there before you got the happiness has been removed. At least temporarily, at least for that person. Okay. Now before we continue, the real question is, what exactly is happiness? What exactly is happiness? Some people will say happiness is that first sip feeling. Have you heard? That first sip feeling. That's the Starbucks slogan for coffee. Or happiness is winning the lottery. Or happiness is getting parsad at the end of satsang. You know? Or happiness is listening to Om Brahma Panam. Time to eat. Happiness is when people tell me that my food tastes delicious. Happiness is when I wake up in the morning and I think it is time to wake up, and then I check the alarm and it is 4 o'clock and I have 1 hour more to sleep. Or happiness is when I get to swat that mosquito that was ringing in my ears the whole time. Happiness is so many different things, but what exactly is happiness? Some might say, well, happiness is a feeling, you know? Happiness is a feeling. So, the purpose of your life is a feeling? No, okay. No, happiness is an emotion. The purpose of your life is an emotion? That is what you're living for? To develop an emotion? No. It is a state of mind. No. It is a feeling of satisfaction. Whatever it is, everybody cannot deny that happiness really is felt when a person is at ease and at peace. Okay? Then you say, I am happy. So when there is ease and there is peace, there is happiness. Now, Bhagavan is going to tell us about the 3 types of happiness, which are sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic happiness. Or special happiness, or whatever kind of happiness, and a happiness that we really shouldn't be pursuing. All called happiness, but of different grades and degrees in our life. So let's chant number 37 and see what Bhagavan says about the best type of happiness first. sukham, that happiness which agre vishamiva pariname amritam upamam tat, that happiness which feels like poison in the beginning but actually is amritam, is nectar in the end. And Atma Buddhi Prasadajam, and that which is born out of the purity of the mind that has been turned inside. That is called sattvic happiness. So Bhagavan Shri Krishna says two things about sattvic happiness. The first is that it feels like poison in the beginning, but it becomes amrit or nectar in the end. And it is actually born out of the purity of a mind that has been turned inwards. So let us see these two things. First, purity of a mind that has been turned inwards. It means, and this is something that you will hear over and over again in the tradition, happiness is coming from inside. Not from outside, from inside. And a person who can find the inside happiness, that person has found something that is really substantial, like the house of bricks. You know? So no. Bhagavan, you always say happiness is inside, happiness is inside. But then I should feel happiness all the time. I mean, when there's space in my belly, I know. Don't you know when there's space in your belly? You hear it, you feel it, you go and look for food to fill it. If there's space in my stomach, I know. If there isn't space in my stomach, I also know. So if there's happiness inside, I should know. But I don't feel it. So how do you say there's happiness inside? Well, there's a very nice and simple logic. You just follow me with this, right? See. Everyone here knows jalebi. Right? On special birthdays and all, they'll give that in parsa. Well, some people love jalebi and other people don't like it so much. They think it is too sticky. You know, you touch it and your hands get spoiled, and it is too sweet, and it is too, they put fake coloring sometimes, whatever reason they have, and they don't like jalebi, right? So now, say I like it. And I think, well, when I eat jalebi, that is happiness, because happiness is in this jalebi. You know, a little piece of happiness is in this thing. I eat it and I feel happy. Well, here's the test. If I eat it now after satsang and I feel happy, and then you give me 10 more because you think, oh, she likes jalebi, give her more. And you sit me down here and you make me eat 10 jalebi in a row. One jalebi will give me 1 unit of happiness. Will 10 jalebi give me 10 units of happiness? Yes or no?
No.
The more I eat, the happier I will be? Yes or no? Clear answer I want. Yes or no? No. The more I eat, the sadder I will be. But I just said happiness is in the jalebi. If happiness is... See, if I put 1 spoon of sugar in tea, that thing will have 1 unit of sugar. If I put 10 spoons of sugar in the tea, that thing should be 10 times sweeter, isn't it? So why didn't that apply to the jalebi? The nature of sugar is sweet. So if I put more sugar, it will taste more sweet. But if the nature of the jalebi is not happiness, then the more that I eat, I cannot become happy. Okay, here's another test. If you come and you give me jalebi at 2 in the morning, after I have with difficulty fallen asleep, and you say, you know, have some jalebi before it becomes stale tomorrow, what will I say to you? You please leave my house right now. I'm sleeping. At 2 in the morning, jalebi is not going to bring me happiness. It's going to bring me sorrow. So there's no happiness in jalebi. But if you bring me sugar at that time, will it not taste sweet still? There's next proof that there's no happiness in the jalebi. Right? Then jalebi gives me happiness, but it doesn't give somebody else happiness. Right? This is rishis analyze. And they tell us that actually there is no happiness in things, there is no happiness in people, and there is no happiness in circumstances. And you do the analysis for each one. And by the law of what is it called? By the law of elimination, the final analysis, they say the happiness that we feel is actually inside. Right? So, really speaking, the joy that we are looking for, we already have, we just don't know. Sattvic happiness is when we tap into that happiness which is inside. The other thing Bhagavan had said was, it is like poison first and it is like nectar later. Anything good that you do in life is easy. Anything good that we do in life is not easy. You come, children, some teenagers and all here. You come home. Is it easier to study before you go and get your screen time? Come home, I finish my homework right away. Then I go and watch TV. That's easy? That's hard. That's like poison. But if I do my homework first, well, that screen time will be way more enjoyable because there's no stress. Right? Or if I decide I'm going to exercise after work. You know, a long time ago, people didn't need to exercise because everything that they did was exercise. But now the only exercise we get is like this. They only this exercise. So someone says, okay, I need to exercise. I'm going to go home and I'm going to exercise. And then they go home, and then the hammock is there in front of them, and it is swinging in the wind nicely, and it is waving and saying, come now, come and sit for 5 minutes. Which one is easier? To say no and go and exercise, or to go and sit for 5 minutes in the hammock? The harder thing is always the better thing, right? It is always harder to do something that takes discipline first. That is what Bhagavan is saying. Any joy that we get, which is hard effort in the beginning, and then there is the joy later, that is called sattvic joy. So the test is, well, when I have to choose now which happiness I'm going to get, it is the joy that I'm going to get after putting in discipline and going through difficulty before the joy will come. That is called sattvic happiness. Because you're going uphill, you're swimming against the tide, so it's going to be difficult, but the reward is going to be so much more wonderful. Right? So this is the joy that Bhagavan describes as sattvic. Now let us see what he says about rajasic joy, the next type of joy. Rajasic joy that Bhagavan Sri Krishna is going to describe is the most common joy, the most common happiness that we look for and we engage in this world, in our day-to-day life. So really speaking, this is the competition for our sattvic happiness. What sattvic happiness is competing with is this. And it happens to be the exact opposite. So sattvic happiness is born from the purity of a mind that has turned inward. Right? For a mind to turn inside and find joy inside, well, that mind has to give up likes and dislikes. That mind has to practice values. That mind has to do so many things to develop purity of mind. That mind has to make up its mind to sit quietly. It has to study scriptures. So much effort to get that joy. Well, the opposite of that is Rajasic. Vishaya Indriya Samyoga. This Rajasic joy is born from the immediate contact of sense object with sense organ. You know the feeling that you get when pine tart touches your tongue? That delicious feeling is not something you need to imagine. Just imagine you ate a pine tart and it took 20 minutes to taste the joy of the pine tart. So you eat it and then 20 minutes later, you know how when you eat, it takes like 20 minutes to feel full? Right? So now you eat the pine tart and you wait 20 minutes, then you're like, oh, this thing was delicious. It doesn't work like that. Or as soon as you put it on your tongue, there's an immediate joy from the contact of the sense object with the sense organ. Immediate. It's called instant gratification. Immediate joy comes. Right? So this is completely opposite to a joy that you have to work for and turn inwards to find. Right? But Bhagavan Sri Krishna says in chapter 5 that this type of joy, which is born from the contact of our senses with the sense organs, meaning when we get joy because we tasted something, or we smelled something we like, or we heard something we like, or we saw something we like, or we touched something we like, that joy, he said, is the womb of sorrow. Womb of sorrow means right from that joy is going to come sorrow because it has a beginning and it has an end. Can you keep the pine tart taste on your tongue forever? You can wish you could, but you cannot. Right? So when the contact goes away, the joy goes away. So Bhagavan Sri Krishna is saying that the wise person doesn't look for that kind of happiness which can go away. Then he says, Agre amritopamam pariname vishamivam. In the beginning, it is like amrit. It is like nectar. It is so nice. But later on, it is like poison. There is sorrow and suffering after. For example, how long does it take to enjoy a box of Polari? How long? With sour. How long does it take to enjoy? Hot, not cold, kept from like 4 hours, you know. Nice hot Polari straight from the fire. How long does it take to enjoy a bowl? 5 minutes? 5 minutes? Reasonable? Some answer will be there. Is 5 minutes too much? 2 minutes? Huh? First bite. Only enjoy when you eat one, then you enjoy. Okay, so like 1 minute. Right? Okay, no problem. Something between 1 and 5 minutes it takes to enjoy. Well, how long does it take to deal with the cholesterol from that Polari? How long? You know, you do some math. If you enjoy Polari every single day for 5 minutes a day for 1 year, 5 minutes a day for 1 year equals to 1 day, 24 hours. You add the time and it's 1 full day, 24 hours of eating Polari you enjoyed 1 day. How long does the suffering and the consequences of that last? You eat pulari every single day for 1 year? Well, you have to deal with those consequences for years. Correct or wrong? So it's amrita in the beginning, and then forevermore there is visham. Sorrow, suffering, like anything. Okay? Our Shastras tell us very clearly, when we buy short-term pleasure, we're buying it with the currency of long-term pain. That is all we are doing. I'm trading short-term joy for long-term pain. But we're so short-sighted that we don't wear like the ostrich that dips his head in the sand. I'm just going to enjoy it and I'm going to pretend nothing's going to happen. Bhagavan Shri Krishna is saying this is Rajasic joy. And the thing about Rajasic joy is that we think we have control over the things that we enjoy. But you tell me, the way people are addicted to their phones nowadays, we're supposed to wake up in the morning and we're supposed to look at our hands. And we're supposed to say, remember that there's divinity in my hands. Karagre vasate Lakshmi. First thing we're supposed to do, wake up in the morning and remember Bhagavan. Nowadays, Karagre vasate phone. You wake up in the morning and you go you look for your phone. Maybe you turn off your alarm. Then you check who messaged you. Now you might say, I woke up late today, it's 9 o'clock, so many urgent things could have happened, so you start to check your phone. But is it not true that the person who has that tendency, even at 5 in the morning, they will do the same thing? They won't say, well, I have 4 hours to do productive things. Straight away they open the phone. And within 2 minutes they open Instagram or Facebook Reel or something, and then before you know it, 45 minutes is gone and you could have slept that 45 minutes even. Right? We think we have control, but we actually don't. When the computer was invented, they had said human beings will get to work less and enjoy more. Did that happen? That happened? We have to work more now than ever before. Right? So Bhagavan Shri Krishna is saying that this thing is bondage. It is bondage to look for joy from sense objects, and when they go away, you're left high and dry, and they're going to go away. Right? Then he says, that is called Rajasic, right? Poison. Poison also because a person is ready to give up on dharma to fulfill their likes and dislikes. So Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, why engage in this Rajasic when there's a better kind of joy? Okay? But this is only number 2. Bhagavan, if this is number 2, what is number 3? You're describing number 2 like poison. What will number 3 be? So let us see what he says. Number 39 now. Conversation with somebody, and I mentioned something about the word. I mentioned Kumbhakara. And they said, who is that? And I was like, what do you mean, who is that? You don't know who is Kumbhakara? He said, no, I don't know who is Kumbhakara. So I said, well, Kumbhakaran is Ravana's brother. You know, the brother who ended up getting the boon or the curse, however you want to call it, that he will sleep for 6 months, and then he will wake up for one day and he will eat, and then he'll sleep for another 6 months. So this person said, what? There's a thing like that? I wish I had that. I love to sleep. If I could sleep for 6 months and I would just have to spend 1 day of money on food. Well, let me tell you, that is called what Bhagavan says, tamasic sukha. The joy that is born from nidra, alasya, pramada, from sleep, from regular sleep everyone needs. Every single night the body gets tired. It's a regular thing that you need to go to sleep and then your physical body gets rejuvenated. That is not what he's talking about. He's talking about Kumbhakaran level sleep. You know, where the person can sleep for 18 hours, wake up for 4, and go back to sleep again. And feel like this is the best thing ever. I can't wait for holidays so I can sleep. Nidra, they get joy from nidra. Or from alasya. Alasya means laziness. You know, people are so interesting. One teenager played a song for me. And I can't sing, but let me try to sing it for you. It goes like this. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do anything. They find joy in saying, I don't want to do anything. I want to sit there all day and I want to do nothing. Joy in laziness. Then pramada. Joy in carelessness. You know, oh, I forgot I had to do something. Well, I don't care. I'm still happy. That doesn't bother me. Pramada. If you find joy in not caring about what you have to do, well, Bhagavan says that is tamasic joy. Then he said, now, yad agre cha anubandhe cha, that joy, which, see, sattvic joy was poison in the beginning and nectar after. Rajasic joy was nectar in the beginning and poison after. He says, this one, in the beginning, during, and in the end, mohanam atmanam. It is just delusion for the person. It puts a veil on the person of delusion and keeps the mind dull. The best example for this will be when people take drugs or they drink alcohol. It kind of dulls their mind and they find joy in that state. That joy that is found is called tamasic joy. So Bhagavan Shri Krishna is warning us to watch out for that. Anybody who says ignorance is bliss, this is the joy that they are referring to. Ignorance is bliss. What happens is it keeps our intellect dull. Now you tell me. You know, this is the joy that animals experience. Tamasic joy is the joy that animals experience, right? If this is the joy that you want, then why be human? Have you ever given a fancy phone to a person who is more senior to you? Birthday gift or something. You know, you go and buy a nice new fancy phone for your Aja or your Aji or your mom or your dad, depending on how old you are. And you give it to them with full excitement. And you tell them, you know, this phone can do this and it can do that, and it can record things for you, it can take pictures for you, you can send your emails from it, you can video call me, all these kind of things. And 1 month later, the only thing that that parent has done with that phone is put it to charge when it dies. And they still going to use the landline to call you. What will you think in your mind? Well, give me back this phone. Let me use it if you're not using it. Why are you wasting this phone with so much special features? Give it to me if you're not using it. Is that thought not going to come to your mind? Why are you wasting this phone? Why did I give it to you? Next time I don't give you no phone. Well, when Bhagavan has given us a human body, and we use this human body to get animal type joy, what will Bhagavan think? This is the joy you want? Then go get it for real next time. Right? A person who lives looking for tamasic joy in their life is making a pact for themselves to be reborn as an animal, because that is the joy that they want, that is the state of the intellect that they are developing. So Bhagavan is saying we should watch out for that. So what are the three types of joy? Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic. Sattvic is the hardest one to get, but it is the one that lasts the longest. Rajasic is super easy to get, but it goes away instantly. And Tamasic, I don't even know how it is called joy. But some people call it joy, so Bhagavan is calling it joy also. You know, the joy that people get from drinking and smoking and whatever, right? And from oversleeping. Anyways. You know, okay, let's see. Now Bhagavan has one more thing to say, and then we'll see in total this topic. That he's in before he starts the next section. And he says, Natadasti sattvam. There is nothing that exists. Nothing, not a single thing that exists. Prithivyam, in this world. Vadivi deveshuva. Or in the other worlds, like in Swarga and all the other divine worlds. Or even in Naraka, any type of world. We have so many worlds in Hinduism, right? We talk about. In any of the worlds you can think about, Deveshu, even among the Devatas, there is nothing that exists in this world, in any other world, with beings in this world and beings in any other world, that Prakritim Jayahi Muktam Yad Edisya Tribir Gunehi, which is free from these three qualities of Prakriti, from Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. There's nothing in this entire universe, nothing, no being that exists that is not made up of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas pervades this entire universe. The only difference is the proportion in which you find them. Like, you know, all the colors, they say all the colors that we have are made from three colors. Is it? What is it? Red, yellow, green. No, blue. Red, yellow, and blue. The three primary colors, then they mix them in different combinations, and then you get all the different colors. Right? Three colors make all the colors. Or, you know, with milk, 3 ingredients: milk, sugar, and coffee. Can you ever make the same coffee twice? You know, sometimes you make a coffee and then you give it to the person and they're like, wow, this is the best coffee ever. Make it for me tomorrow again. And then tomorrow you make it and you're like, doesn't taste the same. And you're like, but I did the exact same thing. No, it doesn't taste good like yesterday. You cannot make the same coffee twice with just 3 ingredients, right? 3 ingredients Bhagavan uses and this whole world is manifested. Like imagine, and it's not like there's 3 colors added to things, but it's more like you take clay, you know, Play-Doh clay, and there's 3 colors. And with 3 colors of clay, every single thing in this universe is made. So things in this universe are made with a combination of sattva, rajas, and tamas. That means that we can never get away from these 3 gunas. We can never get away from their effects. There will always be sattva in our life, means nobility, and there will always be intelligence and clarity. Then there will always be rajas in our life. There will be activity and passion and agitation. And there will always be tamas. There will be some level of laziness and tiredness. Different degrees, different people will have. Because we are made of these 3 gunas. And this will apply to everything. Like for example, stones and like this microphone will have more tamas. Anything that is inert will be more tamasic. It is made of more tamas, which is why it's inert. Or plants also. They have life, but they stay in one place. So they have less tamas than a microphone, but they have more tamas. They have less tamas than a microphone, but they're still tamasic, right? Then you have rajasic. Rajasic will be things that move, like animals, right? Then sattvic will be human beings and divine beings. But within them you will have degrees. Like you will find there are certain stones that are more tamasic. Certain stones you're not allowed to use to make a murti of Bhagavan. Then there are certain plants that are tamasic. You brush against it and you will itch for like 3 days. Right? Then there's other plants that you use to offer to Bhagavan, like tulsi. So within each category, there will be some that are more rajasic, some that are more sattvic, some that are more tamasic. So we also, there will be ranges of sattva, rajas, and tamas in our life, and there will be ranges of sattva, rajas, and tamas at different times of our day also. We're supposed to be the most sattvic in the morning, then rajasic during the day, and we're supposed to become tamasic in the night. We're supposed to go to sleep, not start to do work at night time when it's sleep time. Like that, Bhagavan's world has been made by these 3 gunas. That means my mind is 3G. 3 gunas. my words are 3G. And my whole life is 3G. No 4G and 5G. Only 3G. Right? So my life is governed by 3G. Therefore, knowing this, I mold the happiness that I build in my life based on the sattva, rajas, and tamas that is preponderating in this entire universe. So, in summary, everybody is looking for happiness. Oh, one mom, this makes it clear. One mom, her son had come back from UG, and he was stressed, and he was studying whole day, and he was sitting squish-faced, complaining how much work he had. And so she got tired of seeing him complaining and stressed and all of that. So she said, you come to the mandir with me. So she took him to Panditji in the mandir. Panditji, you please talk to this child. Whole day he's stressed, whole day he's saying he has work, you please do something. So Panditji said, oh, what happened? Why are you so stressed? No, Panditji, school is so stressful. Why is school so stressful? Well, if I don't study well, then I won't get good grades. Oh, why you want the good grades? Because when I get good grades, then I will get a good degree. Oh, so it is for a degree that you're feeling so much stress? Okay, come, I'll print a degree. Look, I have a printer here. I have a sevak in the mandir who does nice design. I'll let them design a degree for you and write your name and give it to you. What? Can I use that degree to get a job? Well, nobody will recognize the mandir as a degree, but you'll have a degree. You'll have a degree with your name. So this person looked and said, Panditji, what kind of jokes are you doing with me? I don't just want a paper degree. Oh, so you're not working to get a degree. You're working to get a degree that will give you a job. So it's really a job you're working for. Yes. I wanted a job that I'm working for. Oh, well, you please come. There's so much work to do in the mandir. Right now, I will hire you. You come. But it is seva, you know. You won't get any money for it. No. Well, I want a job that gives money. Oh, so it is not the job that you want, it is money that you want. Okay, no problem. You come. We'll make you the treasurer of the mandir. You will have plenty money, but you can't use it for yourself. Well, what use is that money if I can't use it for myself? Oh, so it is, you don't want money. You want to use the money to buy things for yourself. Okay, fine. Imagine I give you, for experiment's sake, $1 million. You take it. Buy whatever you want. But every single thing that you buy, I guarantee it will not give you happiness. There's a shrub on this money. This $1 million has a shrub. Anything you buy will bring you sorrow. You want it? You will take that money? No. I want to use the money to buy things to get happiness. So Panditji said, oh, so you're stressed now because you're saying you want a degree, but you actually don't want a degree, you want a job. You're saying you want a job, but you actually don't want a job. You want the money that you're going to get from the job. Actually, you don't want the money. You want the things that the money is going to buy. Then actually you don't even want the things. You want the happiness that you're going to get from the things. So what is it that you actually want? What is it that you actually want in every single thing that you are doing? Happiness. Well, if it is happiness that you want, why are you not looking for it directly? Who says, I want to eat ice cream, so I'm going to drink milk, I'm going to eat ice, I'm going to eat some sugar, and then I'm going to shake myself up and let ice cream melt in my belly. We don't do that. If you want ice cream, you go and get ice cream. You don't go and get other things and say one day they will become ice cream in my belly. If you want happiness, why are you saying I'm going to go and get this so that I get happiness? I'm going to get this so that I get happiness. Bhagavan is saying, hello. The happiness that you're looking for is inside. You just stop and think for a moment about how the happiness that you get from things, you get it and then it goes away. You get it and then it goes away. Is that what you really want? We are really bad at math. That is our biggest problem. Mathematically, see, someone might say, okay, fine, Bhagavan, that happiness will go away. But I'm going to line my life up in such a way that I'm going to get 5 minutes of happiness from this, 5 minutes of happiness from sleeping in. Then I'm going to get 10 minutes of happiness from a nice shower. As soon as shower finishes, I'm going to get 10 minutes of happiness from a delicious breakfast. Breakfast is done, well, I'm going to get 5 minutes of hammock time before I go to school or go to work. Then I'm going to go and I'm going to listen to my favorite song on the way. I'm going to get joy from that. So they plan from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to sleep. Well, one joy after another, replacing. Is that a smart proposition? Well, someone might say, yeah. What's wrong with that? If joy is what I wanted and I line it up back to back, that's a really smart thing. Well, here's the problem. We want infinite joy. Infinite joy is what we want. You tell me mathematically, how much finite joy do I have to add to get infinite joy? You know, in math you say 5x equals y, and then you have to solve for x. Well, x times happiness equals infinite happiness. You tell me what x finite number will be. Mathematically, there is no number of finite things that you can add together to get something infinite. So Bhagavan is telling us, think, our whole life, we're going and looking for finite happiness. But really what we want is infinite happiness. And the cost of not going to look for infinite happiness is we traded the time in our life where we could have looked for infinite happiness inside and gone and looked for it outside. That is tantamount to somebody having a choice to pay $300,000 rent for a house or $300,000 a month and own the house in a few years. Exact same scenario. You have this 300,000 hours of life. You could use it spending it to get finite happiness, or you could use it spending it to get infinite happiness. Well, the choice is yours. Bhagavan is just pointing out these are the different types of happiness. Right? So, we want happiness, but the choice is ours on which type we're going to get. And remember, that which is going to last long, isn't that phrase there? Cheap thing, no good, and good thing, no cheap. With happiness also it applies. So, we should be striving to develop the desire to seek sattvic happiness. And, even if we can't do that right away, we should think in our mind that, fine, we're looking for happiness in sense objects, rajasic happiness, because that is what we know. But we should have in our mind a backup plan, working to develop sattvic happiness as well. And everybody in Guyana knows this very well. How many people here depend on the government water only in their house? How many people depend on water to come in the tap? Well, zero. Every single person has a tank in their house. Why? Because anytime water could cut. In the ashram in Monrepo, we have times, the water comes on and it goes off at 10 in the morning and then it comes back at 5 in the evening. So regular. But now we went to the ashram a few days ago and something happened and the main water line is cut and there's no water in the ashram for 3 weeks. If we didn't have a tank, what will we do? So, you can go and enjoy rajasic happiness. Go and get happiness from anything, from food and from people and from music and from scrolling on screen time and all of that. But you should not depend on that forever, because that thing is not reliable. Your backup plan should always be ready. I should know how to look for happiness inside also. Okay? Last thing I'll tell. Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda, he was sitting with a group of youth and he was drinking South Indian coffee. And he was South Indian. So he took a sip and he said, "Who said there is no happiness in coffee?" And now the youth are looking like, what? Swami Chinmayananda, Gurudev, you're always teaching us about happiness is inside and Bhagavad Gita is saying this, and now you're asking this question? And then he walked up and he was leaving the room and he turned back and he smiled and he said, "There is happiness, but it is temporary." So once we remember that, then it is okay to enjoy like that. So like this, Bhagavan Shri Krishna finishes the topic on analyzing sattvic, rajasic and tamasic different aspects in our life and the different consequences that they bring to our life. Now he's going to shift to a slightly different topic. Well, okay, fine. You've made me like this, Bhagavan, or I've made myself like this over lifetimes. I have a certain percent of sattva, I have a certain percent of rajas, I have a certain percent of tamas. Now, given that I am who I am, how do I live my life in such a way that it brings fulfillment to me and it brings joy to all of those around me as well? Tell me what I should do with my life, given that I am made up of a specific set of sattva, rajas and tamas. So that topic and that train of thought will start tomorrow at CI Mandir. We'll be having satsang tomorrow at CI Mandir, Swamiji's Mandir, from 7:45. Tomorrow's satsang starts at 7:45 in the evening. So you're all welcome. Please do join if you would like to. You can join online if you can't come in person. And yeah, tomorrow's night 101. I mean, I can't believe it. thank you again very much to Panditji and to the organizing committee here for getting together to organize satsang so quickly. You know, when things happen in the community that shake us up, our shastras, our rishis, our tradition advises us to spend time in satsang because that is what brings perspective back to our life. So it's a really wonderful thing that you're all here this evening, reflecting on Bhagavad Gita together. Okay, night 108, no, after the 108 nights is over, the culmination, the grand finale of this program will be happening on Saturday, 3rd of May at the Gandhi Youth Cricket Ground in Georgetown. So you are all invited. We will be having satsang with Pujya Swami Prakashanandaji. There will be the finale celebration of this event. There will be dinner for everybody. There will be presents for each family. And the most special thing is that everyone from so many different villages across Guyana will come together and celebrate this great heritage that is ours. So you're all invited. Please do come. It will be really wonderful to have at least a few people from this mandir so we can celebrate together. Okay, 2 more announcements. Chimay Mission is a teaching organization. What we do is we teach Shastra. We teach the scriptures to all ages, and we teach it in all different ways also. So if anyone is interested in studying Sanatana Dharma, this is what we're here for. We have classes for little children starting, for older children, for adults, for teens. There's a Pandit's course starting as well, a 6-month Pandit course. So all the information is on Facebook. You can check it out if this is of your interest. And Chimay Mission also offers a 2-year Vedanta course. 2-year Vedanta course for people who are 30 and under, who have a university degree, and who are unmarried, who are interested in studying Sanatana Dharma systematically, thoroughly, in the Sanskrit medium, as was taught by the Guru Shishya Parampara coming down for generations and generations. This course will be starting in Trinidad on October 2nd, right here with Swami Prakashanandaji. If anybody is interested, you just have to apply online, and then you will be interviewed, and if you get in, it's a scholarship program. Anybody who is interested in understanding Sanatana Dharma clearly, and especially anybody who is interested in teaching it or sharing it with others, this is indispensable opportunity for you. Okay? And on 4th of May, which is the day right after the grand finale, we will be having dosa day at the ashram. It is a fundraiser. Swamiji will be making dosa. Dosa is a kind of pancake made out of dal, urdi dal, and rice. And it is ground up into a batter and made into a crispy, thin, delicious, savory pancake. And it is stuffed with your choice of aloo or paneer, or for the kids, they can try pizza dosa. And so you come to the ashram in Manripo, you buy a dosa, you eat it hot and fresh, and you get something healthy and nutritious. Delicious and nutritious. Right? So that will be happening. Please place your order if you would like to get a dosa. The ashram is in Manripo, and this will be happening on Sunday, May 4th. Okay. Now we'll close. You have Aarti, and you want to say something?
Thank you very much, dear Ji, for those wonderful extract taking from the pages of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And what I love this evening is that the way you interacted with the crowd, you definitely sent a instant message. And you know, this is what we have been receiving from Devji, and you follow the same pattern. You know, we all are indeed very grateful and enlightened to have you at our Munda, and especially this significant one, the 100th, the 100th session. It's indeed remarkable for all of us here that we, on behalf of the executive and members of the Umam Maheshwar Mandir, extend our thanks and gratitude to both of you and the entire mission for being here this evening. Also special thanks to the priest in charge of our Mandir, Pandit Surendra Tiwari, to Pandit Avishkar, to Pandit Krishna and his entire family, all working together despite what is going on. They still find the time to be here in promoting Dharma. So this is where now we stand for Arti leading us with the Jnana.
As we get ready for Arati, I'll just mention, we have a whole range of books on sale for all ages, little kids books and adult books and all. Please check it out. Publications on spirituality for every age.